Hi, everybody. Okay, so I am actually recording this on Monday, March 30th. I just went through all of your responses and things like that online. It's actually 1 o'clock, so I'm a little early. Not all of you have gotten in, but I wanted to get this recorded before um, like this afternoon because I have a lot of stuff to do. So I went on and I looked at your discussion responses about the AP exam, the free response question. Like I said, I believe based on what AP has been putting out, that one 45-minute online free response question that you're going to be doing is going to be a rhetorical analysis question. So a lot of you had some great suggestions that we should go over soapstone statements, that we should one more time, like I should go through and like outline maybe how might you respond, and that we should do some practice rhetorical analysis timed rights. So from what I have so far, oh, and a really good suggestion started like first by Emerson and then a bunch of other people added on to it, same idea, was that I should go through the rhetorical devices and pick out the ones that I think you'll see the most or are the most important to be able to pick out on the AP exam. So those are my plans. But we're not going to be doing that until like next week sometime because on Friday, the College Board is going to be putting out a brand new information to teachers about what that online exam is going to look like. And then I'm hoping that they're going to be a little bit more specific with us so that I can be more specific with you. So I'm going to wait until that comes out before I start the review process. So instead, this week, we're going to be moving forward with major paper 4 and getting some of those college essays ready to go, which I'll talk about with you in a second. I made a list of the things I wanted to talk to you about on this one. Okay, so the next thing is the survey results for my project. A lot of you have emailed me. Not all of you have answered that survey yet, but I'm assuming that later in the day it'll all be answered. So I'll kind of get an idea for that. And on Wednesday, I'll tell you what the plan is for the SAT prep. Okay, so for today, we're going to talk about the next part of major paper 4. So I'm going to shrink me down, put me down here, and we're going to go to the major paper 4 portfolio instructions. So really quickly, I'm just going to go over with you what you've already done. So you've already done your resume. I would say that the turn-in percentage for the resume was about 95%. Things dropped down considerably on the letters, and I think that's probably because those letters were due on March 20th, and I think a lot of you checked out by March 20th. So hopefully tonight when I go on to Schoology, I will see that a lot of you have uploaded letters, those of you who haven't before. I've given zeros to everyone who hasn't turned in a resume and a letter, and I introduced the assignment off to the right there, so you can click on it and do that. So hopefully tonight when I go on, or tomorrow morning when I go on, you'll have more letters and resumes kind of submitted then. All right, so next we're going to talk about the prompt response. So I'm going to disappear for a few minutes, and we're going to look at what you need to do for the prompt. Okay, so a prompt response is when you are given a particular topic or a subject by a college, university, or a scholarship, and you have to write an essay that responds directly to that prompt. So the first thing that I have for you is what you should do. First of all, when you think about yourself as a prospective college student, you want to decide, what am I missing as a student? So for example, let's say that you have a great GPA. Like you're one of those 4.3 or 4.4 crazy people. So you have one of those, but your SAT scores are actually, maybe just a little bit better than average. So you want to think about your essays being the bridge to explain the difference between your GPA sometimes and your SAT scores so that colleges can look at it as part of the evidence. They will see all of the evidence. So you can't ignore part of the evidence. If you had poor SAT scores, you can't pretend you had great SAT scores. If you have a poor GPA, you can't pretend that you had a great GPA. So they're going to see everything. So what do you need to fill in the blanks so that people can understand what components of the college application process you're missing? Or you can think of it this way. You did your resume and you filled it out and you realized you don't have a lot of co-curricular activities or community involvement, but maybe that's because you are needing to hold down a job to help yourself pay for college or even to help your family earn enough money so that you all can keep on living or staying in your house or your apartment. Those are the blanks that colleges want to see you fill in. Okay, so let's start first about how you should not begin. So when you begin a college essay, let's say the college essay asks you, what is one of the most difficult decisions you've ever made and how did you find a solution to that decision? So don't begin with the prompt as your attention getter. So don't begin the essay with, the most difficult decision I ever made was blah. That is so boring and it's cheating. It's everybody and their mother is going to start responding that way. You want to begin in a different way, something that's a little bit more creative. So sometimes I talk about beginning with dialogue. So if I think about like the most difficult decision that I made when I was your age, I would think that it was probably, well, I had a lot of really personal, difficult decisions. But let's go with a not so personal, difficult decision. After my freshman year, I had to make a decision whether to continue on in track or to play softball in the spring. It honestly wasn't that difficult of a decision because, as I've told Eric Hayden in the past, when I was in track, they had me up against these women who were like Amazons, and I am not an Amazon. I'm more of a dwarf. So I lost every race I ever ran my freshman year of track. Not terribly, not embarrassingly, but yes, I never won a race. So I decided to move on to softball for a number of different reasons, but it was a difficult decision because I had made a lot of friends in track. So maybe I would start with dialogue from the softball coach. And it could start with, Heidi, have you ever thought about trying out for the softball team? Could start with that. Or it could start with, I don't know, Mom, I've lost every race I've ever run. That could be the way that I would start it. And that's how I can get into the topic a little bit more. Okay, sometimes, like this time, you're going to be choosing from a list of prompts. So you want to look down the list of prompts and you want to see the one that speaks to you and you think you have an original answer for. One that not everybody else will be writing. Probably the softball and track one is something that a lot of kids would be writing about. So I would honestly choose one of my more difficult decisions that I've ever made, and that would be something a little bit more personal to me, something that no one else would write. So if you read my prompt response, that's the long one, the 1,414 words one in the packet that you got, you will see that I grew up in economically disadvantaged household, one in a house that didn't have running water or an indoor toilet. We didn't have a television. We didn't have a telephone until I was probably 7 or 8 years old for the television and the telephone. So I would write something about making decisions of asking friends if they wanted to come over and play, because that was really hard for me when I was a kid. So I would probably write about that. That's something that like very few other people in the nation would have written about when I was going to college. And that's why I wrote about things like that. Okay. Next one. If you can connect the prompt somehow to your life or your future, if you look at the ending of that prompt, that long one, the 1,414 word prompt, you will see that I, at the end, connect the prompt to what I wanted to do in my future, to being a teacher. And then it telling something important about me, like how I feel like my teachers let me down and I was never going to try to make someone feel less than because of what they owned or where they came from. And so that is what I wanted to do there. Okay, so the key is to be creative. These people want to know who you are and they want to see as interesting an essay as possible. Think about how dull it would be to be reading the same essay over and over again. So I suggest you make it memoir-y in nature. Like, tell it like you're telling a story to your children or your grandchildren or your best friend or something like that so that you can make it stand out from other people. All right, before you get started, organize your thoughts. Which way do you want to go? If you start with the narrative, when do you get into truly making sure you answer the prompt? Move transitions to help move the story along. Make sure that you connect at the end and think about like pre-writing how you're going to go ahead and do that. Then at the end, you want to proofread it. These things that you send into colleges should be perfect. Perfect. You don't want them to look at it and see a comma error or a spelling error and automatically discount you as being uneducated. Period. Okay. So these are your Common App options, and they are on that packet that I sent home for you. I think it's on the very first page of that packet. They're listed for you. But I'm also going to take a screenshot of this and post it on Schoology so that you can see them here as well. So you have 6 different options to choose from, and you have a 650 word maximum limit. When I entered college, we had to do 1,500 words, and that's why mine was 1,414 words long. The idea with these like word maximum things is that you want to get within like 10 to 20% of the maximum. So if it's 650, you want to try to get to around 600 or a little bit less than 600. You can get to exactly 650 if you want to. And that's fine. You don't get bonus points for being exactly at 650. So these are the options that you can choose from. You want to, again, choose one that you think speaks to you. And you can start out writing it different ways. Okay. The other thing that I want to talk to you about, so this is your assignment, Common Application, 650 words maximum. However, there are other spots where you might run into prompt responses, and there's 2 different prompt responses that I'm going to talk about. Many, many, many colleges and universities will ask you on your application to write an essay, why Stanford, why Yale, why Northern Illinois University, why us? So it is not really a creative response, but it's used over and over again. You don't have to be really creative about it unless you want to tell a story about the first time you visited the campus at Northwestern and how it changed your perspective of what you wanted to do with the rest of your life. That would be awesome. But your answer to the why us question needs to be very specific to the university. So they want to see that you have done the research into their university. They want you to prove to them that you want to go to their university more than anything. And you have to write this for every university that you are applying to as if it's the only one that you're applying to. So Yale wants to hear all the great things about them and how going to Yale will change your life. But so does Northern Illinois University. And they want to hear the specific things about that school and campus that work for you. So for this why us question, not only do you want to be specific about the campus and the campus environment, but you also want to be specific about maybe the program that you're going into. So that involves research. If you want to go to Northwestern and you want to major in biomedical engineering, look up the biomedical engineering program at Northwestern. Look up a specific professor in the bioengineering department and write about something that that professor is doing and how you want to be part of that. So let me show you how that works. Hi again. All right. So University of Wisconsin-Madison, that's where I wanted to go. I applied to some other schools as well, Yale being one of them, but I knew that Madison was probably the place for me. So I was going to be majoring in English and theater. So I would go to UW-Madison's website. I would search English major. Search. I'll find out information about English majors. English BA, boom, boom, University of Wisconsin-Madison. So it's going to take me to the Bachelor of Education, how to get in, everything like that. I'm going to go to people, and sometimes it'll say faculty or whatever. So you find faculty. Oftentimes there will be like pictures of the faculty and information about them. If there is not pictures and information about the faculty, then you want to find, I'm going to go with Barry Auerbach. Actually, no, I want to go with a female. Let's go with associate. I don't know. They only have last names. Haha. Very non-gender specific. So I'm going to go faculty instead at the top. So I'm going to go contact information for all faculty. I'm going to look for English department. These are all people whose last names begin with English. Oy. Well, I'll find them. This was an experiment gone awry. But anyway, so I find a specific professor. I'm going to go back to that page which had the professors' names. Back. I don't want professors of gynecology. That was not my plan for a major. So I'm going to look at Auerbach. I'm going to copy him or her. And I'm going to go back to faculty. I'm going to punch in contact information for all faculty and staff. I'm going to put that in there. Diane, no. Emily, yes. Emily Auerbach. I'm going to find more information about Emily Auerbach. I'm going to find what she's doing. I'm going to get information about what she's been studying, things like that. And then I'm going to use that in my prompt response for the why us. That's the idea. Okay. The other thing that they sometimes have, especially the harder to get into universities, these were Notre Dame's from a few years ago, and I love them. They'll give you a creative question. So they'll say, answer one of the following questions. How are apples and oranges supposed to be prepared? Possible answers involve, but are not limited to, statistics, chemistry, physics, linguistics, and philosophy. I might use religion, and I might find some way to talk about the apple and how people perceive the apple in the book of Genesis, although we all know that it wasn't the apple, and how that apples then are seen as being forbidden fruit, blah, blah, blah. So you see what I'm saying? And I would compare it to oranges, whereas oranges are not seen in medieval literature as anything other than an exotic fruit. So apples have this strong past. You get the idea. This one I really love. A man cannot be too careful in the choice of his enemies. Othello and Iago, Dorothy and the Wicked Witch, Autobots and Decepticons, heroes and enemies. Tell us about the relationship between you and your arch nemesis, either real or imagined. Interestingly, when I was in high school, my arch nemesis was a girl whose first name was also Heidi. She was in my class. We were actually really close friends, but for some reason, maybe because both of our first names were Heidi and we were interested in the same thing, we kind of like squared off against each other. So I might write about that. This one is a really interesting one. Hold on. Find X. And then you're supposed to write a response about it. Or how did you get caught or not caught, as the case may be. So sometimes colleges will give you these super creative questions. All right. Common application, 650 words maximum. There's a lot of universities that are part of the common application. So that's what I want you to do, this one. However, if you have another thing that you are currently applying for, I know there's a few of you that are looking at QuestBridge Scholars, and you would like to submit one of those essays for this in Major Paper 4, you can absolutely do that. Okay, so that's it for this particular lesson, you should be, there's my son. Say hi again.
Hi again. Can I have a butterbeer?
Yeah, I can make you a butterbeer in a little bit. Okay, sorry about that. So I am going to be putting information up on Schoology about this, including this. You will see that the deadline for your first draft of your Common App, 650 words maximum, is due on Friday. I suggest that the first thing you do is come up with an idea, and then what you should do is do a free write. Sit down and for 15 minutes, write basically without thinking about what you're writing and come up with a good response to that essay topic. And then go through and make some revisions and changes and things like that. Because you're going to find maybe that some of your best ideas are your first ideas. And, or you're going to find like, okay, that one is not going to work. I'm going to do another 10 minutes on a completely different topic. And that way you don't waste too much time, but you get like different ideas that you can go with. Okay. Please let me know if you have any questions. I will post a optional discussion in our Schoology folder where you can ask me any questions that you didn't feel like you were able to ask and other people can kind of see. This one is optional. It is not required to post in the discussion, only if you have a question about the Common Application 650 word maximum essay choices. All right. Thank you. I hope you have a good day.